Good morning, everyone. I'm David Restainer, the chairman of the New World Center Committee for the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce. For fun, I'm the managing director of commercial real estate for Douglas Elliman Real Estate. Welcome to today's Smart City event. It's part one of a two-part series, Ready, Set, Now, Preparing the Future Workforce. Part two is next Thursday, same time, same place. Please be sure to register for that event. We'll put that registration invite in the chat box. The Smart City series is presented by the Chamber's New World Center Committee and the Technology and Innovation Committee. I'm joined here today by the Technology Committee Vice Chair, Oscar Lanaz, the President of Homestead Campus for Miami-Dade College. We want to thank our program sponsors. That's Baptist Health South Florida, CareerSource South Florida, Florida International University, Miami-Dade College, and Wells Fargo. We have a very impressive and distinguished panel with us here today. They're going to continue this conversation that we started last April when we had the Smart City series, and we discussed all of the news of the day about Blackstone moving tech jobs to South Florida and a myriad of others that were doing the very same thing. The focus and angle of today's conversation is going to be, well, what has happened? Are we prepared for the future? Is Miami ready? Do we have the talent? What do we need to get ready for the next phase of growth over the next 5 years? So before we get started with the program, I'd like to run through some of the logistics for those of you who might be new to Zoom. The microphones will be muted. Use the chat box for comments and discussion networking. And for questions that you may have for our speakers, please use the Q&A Q&A box, I should say. Our esteemed moderator, Matthew Haggman, will be looking in there periodically to ask panelists those questions that he finds in the Q&A box. All right, so the Chamber is privately funded through memberships and through sponsorships. So none of this could be possible without you and without the support of our sponsors. And I would like to provide the opportunity for some brief remarks. First, we're going to hear from Wells Fargo. And here with us today is Leo Toca, the Vice President of Social Impact and Sustainability Specialist for the South Florida. Leo, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you, David. Welcome, everybody. Wells Fargo is proud to be a sponsor of today's discussion on preparing the future workforce and to explore possible solutions to several important questions led by our panelists. We have all heard about worker shortages, so this discussion, I think, is timely as we look at the needs of both small and large companies that want to hire as they start or expand their businesses in South Florida. At Wells Fargo, we have been supporting colleges, universities, schools, and nonprofits to help students thrive in their studies and prepare to come into the workforce. We also support minority and women-owned businesses through many programs, including our Open for Business Fund, which was launched last year and will invest a total of about $420 million nationally to support small businesses through CDFIs and TA providers. I just want to say thank you and recognize the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce and all the participants for making this Smart Cities program possible. So thank you, and back to you, David.
Well, thanks again, Leo. And now I would like to introduce you all to my friend and yours, Rick Beasley. He's the chairman for our Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce, and his day job is the executive director of CareerSource South Florida. Rick is an amazing human being, and man, oh man, he wears a lot of hats. Rick, please take it away.
David, thank you for that introduction, my friend. And it is good to see you all, Leo. Good to see you and the work that you're doing. Fantastic work at Wells Fargo. First of all, on behalf of the Chamber, I'm very proud of what the Chamber is doing to look at the area of talent and how we grow talent in our respective community. to help recruit and retain companies here in South Florida. Very important. But I also would share with you on behalf of CareerSource South Florida, our main role is to invest in our community, how we can help grow talent, to work with our employers, our business community, to be able to address shortage needs that they are having. I would share with you all that CareerSource South Florida has launched a number of programs that have enabled us to kind of address some of the needs. And we're looking forward to working with our partners with like Miami-Dade College, my good friend, Madam President Madeline, but also with Miami-Dade County Public Schools and our other training vendors to be able to address the needs. And so we've launched programs like our Tech Hire Initiative. It's a boot camp for youth that we have throughout the summer to help youth acquire the skills in IT. We've got our Tech Hire Centers in partnership with the YWCA with Women in Tech Initiative, with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and the Opelika CDC in our Tech Hire components. Those are just a couple of components that we've launched. But I would tell you that we're excited about some of the initiatives that we're doing with Miami-Dade College and our apprenticeship programs. But these are things that we put in place to address our future workforce. So again, hats off to you, David, and your committee. Oscar, thank you so much for chairing the IT committee for me. I'm looking forward to our conversation that we're going to have later on. So those employers that are online and you're looking for talent, please reach out to my staff. You can reach them, and I'm going to give, and I'm pretty sure Jan Parents online, he doesn't like me to give out his cell phone, his telephone number, but please reach out to our office, 305-929-1590. Ask for Jan Parent. Again, he helps to work with employers to recruit. Again, 305-929-1590. And here's a way that we can help employers, job seekers, if you're looking for assistance in getting trained. Please reach out to David Gilbert, 305-929-1640. These two individuals, I'm very proud of the work they do for our community, but they can assist you in helping find talent and then helping find employment. So with that, I'm looking forward to our conversation, David. Again, thank you for your service to this committee. Thank you for serving the chamber. We're looking forward to this conversation this afternoon, or this morning, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Rick. You're an amazing man, a terrific leader. Thanks for your commitment to the chamber, and even more importantly, thanks for your commitment to the community. We really appreciate it. Next up, we're going to play a lovely video from Miami-Dade College, and it highlights some of the things that we'll be talking about today, a very pertinent video. So let's do that. Take it away.
Morning. My name is Oscar Lunas, and I'm the president of Miami-Dade College's Homestead campus. I also have the privilege of serving on the board of the chamber, and I'm the vice chair of the Technology and Innovation Committee. I have the honor of introducing our keynote speaker for this event, Madeline Pumariega, the president of Miami-Dade College. Now entering in her second year as president of one of the largest colleges in the country, she has been relentless in her pursuit to bridge together technology and education to ensure Miami-Dade College is positioned to meet the needs of today, those of 2027 and beyond. As a Miami native, she has seen the evolution of her city and knows what areas needs to focus on in order to ensure our success. As a champion for workforce programs, she recognizes the role of higher education in transforming the lives and is designing her presidency to position the college to deliver on its mission in a post-pandemic technology-enabled world. Since returning to MDC last year, President Pumariega has prioritized working with business partners to identify the skills needed by key industries and is tailoring the college's programs to match those needs. She has successfully secured funding to support these initiatives and continues to develop strategic alliances to ensure win-win partnerships for our community. I now invite President Pumariega to do us the honor and kick off this very important conversation. Madam President.
Thank you so much, Oscar. I'm blessed to have a wonderful leadership team. So many of our leaders represent and volunteer, not only in the community, but especially in the work of the chamber. We know that talent is really the economic development currency of a modern economy. What we are faced with today is really talent. How will we be able to position Miami-Dade County to build on not just tech moment, but this tech movement, right? So much is said, how can we be the capital of capital? And I'll speak today to you about human capital. I think that we're doing a phenomenal job in the chamber and other committees and Rick and the leadership team about, what we're seeing in terms of venture capital, what we're seeing around capital investments in infrastructure to make sure that Miami is positioned to be a future, a city of the future, a smart city. What I'll kind of focus on is talent. Talent is universal and opportunity is not. And the way that we bridge talent and opportunity is really through skill building. We bridge those skills. And in Miami, we can do it. We are in this moment that can bring together the ecosystem. And I think that it's critical for us to tie together human and social and economic and venture capital together to build a stronger ecosystem that allows us to bridge talent with those opportunities and level up and upskill everyone in Miami-Dade County so that they're able to compete and we're able to be a talent driver for businesses that are growing in Miami-Dade or that are coming to our county and coming to our city. The only thing that could stop the flywheel of momentum today is really not having that talented workforce. As we think about talent, how do we think about access? Access to the platforms that are designed to strengthen those connections and lead opportunities across the education pathways. That means we're going to need deeper and stronger connections among our K-12 colleges and universities. We do a lot of that work now through the Beacon Council and the Academic Leaders Council. Matt will tell you, together you can put every academic leader in our community in one room and strategize on how we can all support Opportunity Miami that aims to bridge some of those gaps and opportunities and strengthen those connections. We're working closely with our school district partners in bridging opportunities through career technical education and apprenticeship programs so that it's seamless from students from middle to high school into college and over to FIU or one of our sister institutions in terms of strengthening those transfer pathways, whether it's to Barry or St. Thomas or others. And so I think that ecosystem and being intentional about building access and connections will make sure that we have an inclusive workforce and an inclusive path of opportunity. Leverage. We have to leverage our business partners and industry. create those bridges of opportunities. We're seeing that happen every day, much more. Antonio Delgado, our Vice President of Innovation and Technology Partnerships, building those partnerships, whether it's with Tesla or IBM on artificial intelligence, SoftBank and Correlation One on data science and analytics, continuing to strengthen that partnership with industry. You know, we should be about creating 100% of paid internship opportunities for our youth in Miami-Dade County. That will really position us to make sure that we bridge the opportunity and talent gaps that may exist. And we can do that through virtual internships. Today, because of the pandemic and the fast adoption of technology and innovation, we can go beyond those internships that are just face-to-face, but also leverage those industry partnerships to do that. Really, you know, we talk about employability skills. I think the future of work is around enterprise skills. Our students in our community are going to have to gain 3 sets of distinctive skill sets. One will be that applied knowledge of what they learn and go deep in a classroom. And the second will be those enterprise skills, which are about design thinking and problem solving and critical thinking. And then a third set of skill sets, which are critically important in this modern economy and technology economy, are the digital skills. And digital skills today move beyond knowing how to turn on the computer, save a document, and know Excel. It's about how can you use data and analytics? How can you be informed by the data that every institution has at its fingertips to be able to drive higher impact and excellence, and building on those digital skills like artificial intelligence, among other skills as well. I think that we have to look at numbers. We can talk about strategies, but what are we measuring? And we know what we measure is what we focus on. How are we looking at the data, disaggregating that? Who are we leaving behind? Who are we building up? What kind of portfolio do we have among our institutions and education and business partners, putting in terms of certificates, high quality certificates, working with different companies and different organizations in the community to make sure we're reaching deep into our communities that may not have that access and opportunity. And we can only do that by disaggregating the numbers and by diversifying our talent portfolio. What I mean by diversifying our talent portfolio is just not looking at a 4-year linear university pathway, but it might be based on stackable credentials, building on those skill sets. You may come in with a cybersecurity certificate that leads to an associate's, that might lead to a bachelor's and into a master's program. I think that today we're seeing there is 1.6 jobs for every 1 person. So making sure that we're building and strengthening that pipeline to be inclusive and to reflect the diversity of our community, which is a strength of our community. We don't have to be focused on DEI initiatives in Miami-Dade County. The reality is that we are a multicultural, diverse, and inclusive community. How do we make sure that in every sector we reflect that? And we do that by looking at data and implementing and executing on data-driven strategies, not only in our education ecosystem, but certainly in our business and industry ecosystem. And you see that with the work of SoftBank's investment, Leanne Buchanan, and the work that's happening there with Knight to make sure that we're also investing in minority startups, that Black startups are seeing access to that same venture capital in Latin America and that investments as well. And we have to do that around talent, having that kind of intentionality and spurring that same type of innovation investment. And then I would say that I would close really with that it all requires partnership and strategy. We won't get there by not having committees like at the chamber focused on this, having the right investments. As a community just this week, the chamber had the fly-in in Tallahassee to make sure that we're advocating for those resources, and we're strategic at the federal level with Department of Labor investments. We're also strategic at the state level, and then locally, that we're also intentional through our work and our committee work and the partnerships that we're bringing to our community. And the way that, you know, for example, when you think about just Emerge and what's happening there, we're going to go from, you know, a 3-day conference to a month-long talk about Miami Tech and those partnerships. That's the kind of tactical strategy that we need to continue to build on to strengthen that talent ecosystem for our community and to bridge that opportunity for everyone in our community and be able to thrive and continue to grow and see and be really the community that is the capital of capital, both on the social capital, the human capital, and the venture capital as well. Thank you so much to the Chamber for doing this. It makes us all think about what we can do and how we can be contributing to the phenomenal work that's happening across, you know, with our mayors, with our chamber leaders and our education leaders and our business and industry leaders. It is an exciting time to really be driving talent in Miami and to see it come to fruition in those partnerships. So thank you so very much. I know that Matt Haggman is going to do an amazing job with a panel that can really go deep and touch upon each one of these strategies. So thank you so much. And Oscar, thank you for the kind introduction always and for your service to the Chamber and to our college and community.
Thank you so much, Madam President. As always, thought-provoking. It is now my pleasure to introduce the moderator of our panel discussion today, Matt Haggman. Matt is the Executive Vice President of Opportunity Miami at the Beacon Council. In this role, he is leading a reimagining of One Community, One Goal, the community-wide initiative focused on helping shape Miami's economic future. Previously, as Miami Director at Knight Foundation, Matt created and built the foundation's program focused on propelling high-growth entrepreneurship. Numerous efforts funded and supported under Matt's leadership are now pillars of Miami's rapidly growing entrepreneurial ecosystem. This includes Endeavor Miami, the Idea Center at Miami-Dade College, Emerge Americas, Center for Black Innovation, Miami Angels, and Babson's Women Innovating Now Lab, among many others. Prior to joining Knight Foundation, Haggman was an award-winning journalist with the Miami Herald and the Daily Business Review. Thank you, Matt, for being with us today. The floor is all yours. Take it away.
Oscar, thank you very much. It is such a pleasure to be here, and it is a tall order to follow President Pumariega, as always extraordinary, and we're so lucky to have such an incredible leader in our community. Back for today's discussion, we're going to dig into a topic that, of course, as President Pumariega said, is really critically important for our future. It is, in so many ways, the ballgame. This is what will be really the determining factor of the future that we realize here in Miami and across South Florida. Our topic for today, for our Smart Cities panel part 1, Ready, Set, Now, Preparing the Future Workforce. And, you know, as we think about this, it is, of course, critical for the economic future that we imagine for Miami. It's also critical, and this was already alluded to, that if we are to both create, really build and make Miami both a center of innovation, but also a place that's driving social mobility. And driving social mobility across our community in every neighborhood of Miami-Dade County is really, to achieve it, that's going to be built on talent development at scale in the many ways that we can provide ways in which people can develop skills quickly, affordably, in ways that align with their own lives. And as President Pumariega said, to do it over and over again. And of course, in doing this work, it presents such an enormous opportunity. And you know what I would share to the group as we dive into this topic is that what's in front of us here in Miami is really the opportunity to build a uniquely diverse, skilled workforce that is really unlike anything in the country and really differentiated from regional workforces around the world. That's really our opportunity in front of us as we dig into this. In this discussion, of course, there's been so much talk around meeting this moment. As you know, this is really a special time. as we think about how Miami's economy is changing, the sense of possibility, particularly as our tech community is growing by leaps and bounds right now. And we'll talk about some of that, but really what we want this discussion to be is one that is forward-looking. We think about the Miami 5 years from now, the Miami 10 years from now. Indeed, we think of the Miami of 2040, right? When the child today will be readying to enter the workforce, what's that Miami workforce that they're going to find? And what do we need to be doing right now to realize that future? So for our discussion, we have three extraordinary community leaders: Antonio Delgado, who is the Vice President of Innovation and Technology Partnerships at Miami-Dade College. He's also Senior Advisor for Tech Talent Development to Mayor Francis Suarez. And Antonio was previously the Dean of Engineering and Technology at Miami-Dade College. Gustavo Trindade. He has 15 years of entrepreneurial work experience and graduated with an MBA from Babson College in 2017. And since then, he has been running Babson's campus here in Miami. And Rick Beasley, who needs no introduction. We already heard from Rick and thrilled we're going to hear so much more. And Rick comes from us today from cold Tallahassee. Rick has served as the Executive Director for the South Florida Workforce Investment Board, which we all know as CareerSource South Florida, since August 2005. And in this position, he oversees workforce programs in Miami-Dade and Monroe counties, in one of the nation's most dynamic melting pots. In addition, he serves as chair for both the Greater Miami Chamber and the Florida Department of Juvenile Justice Circuit Advisory Board. To all of you, welcome, and really excited to have a robust and engaging conversation on this critically important topic. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk for about 40 minutes or so, throw out some questions. Please, as I'm asking questions, you guys feel free to interrupt each other, jump in, let's have a conversation. And then we'll be turning to all of you in the audience. As David mentioned, please put your questions in the Q&A. We've got a chat going, but also put it in, put your questions in the Q&A, and I will continue to look there, and we'll be asking your questions to the group. I will say, I know I just said we'll talk a little bit, and then we'll get your questions at the end. But put your questions in now, and I'll be looking, and and as we go, we'll be trying to throw them in as we're talking. So to kick us off, Antonio, I want to start with you, and to talk about what is a really unique opportunity. We're seeing lots of different areas of life where we're seeing these opportunities from enormous new federal investment. Of course, the opportunity in Miami over the last 2 weeks, we're talking a lot about how the $65 billion that's being invested in broadband, how we actually have an opportunity to end the digital divide. There's also a big opportunity in a big federal investment around jobs and the Good Jobs Challenge. And you're leading the effort to apply for the grant, and would love for you to share with us what this opportunity is, how we're approaching it, and if all went as we hope, what would we realize? Antonio, please.
Thank you, Matt. So overall, we all know how the Miami tech ecosystem is growing, and we have seen the great opportunities, especially 2021 was an amazing year for Miami. Major venture capital coming, major deals, what is known as unicorns, that are definitely not only bringing money, but creating new positions, new companies coming. And as we heard from Madam President Pumariega, talent is really the currency that we need to have as one of the key areas for Miami that we need all to work together. So Miami-Dade College, FIU, Miami-Dade County Public Schools, we have been producing talent for years, but now we're talking about a faster production of talent in stackable credentials with certifications, degrees, upskilling, with also the bootcamp providers that are growing in Miami. So we see a great opportunity for talent, but we need to do better. And that's part of how Miami is growing, in connecting the whole ecosystem with government and great disposition from our cities and the county and the mayors to really connect better. And we see more funding coming from multiple angles, and we need to continue that funding to get better in training the next generation of talent and meet the demand for jobs. So EDA, the Economic Development Authority, released this great opportunity, $500 million to create the Good Job Challenge. And this is a challenge just to get people with jobs, but to do it quickly. So any region in the nation can really apply, and we are getting together all these amazing players in Miami, the whole ecosystem, to, as Miami-Dade County, apply for this great opportunity with Miami-Dade College as a backbone organization to make sure that we can bring home this opportunity and this funding from the federal state to let's connect better into how to create those pathways to employment. We saw the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics just released data about what are the growing metro cities in the nation, and we see Miami coming in the top 10 with just Miami with over 70,000 jobs created from November of 2020 to November of 2021. So 2021 for us was huge in terms of jobs developed and created for Miami, but also South Florida with 130,000 jobs. So we see that the jobs are here, the jobs are being created in multiple sectors and only tech, and we just need to get better at connecting our local talent. And that's what we are planning to do with this, the Good Job Challenge, by getting the Miami-Dade County, the cities, especially the city of Miami, Miami-Dade College, FIU with the TDN network, the Talent Development Network, CareerSource South Florida, OIC South Florida, getting Miami-Dade Beacon Council, everyone working together to create those pathways to really look at the future and say, what are we missing? We're missing more communication. Let's be humble and see not only what we're doing amazingly well, but what can we do better? And let's be humble at listening to others, employers, what exactly they need, but also for employers to listen into the needs to create more entry-level and internship opportunities. So we're thinking on not just because of this challenge. If we get it, great, we're going to bring $10 million to make this happen. But if we don't get it, we're creating the foundation to create a tech talent coalition in Miami that is going to drive this conversation towards the future, and it's going to bring our local talent with the opportunity to be part of those high-paying jobs that are coming to Miami and continue growing. So happy to lead this opportunity, but it's really an effort for many team players and multi-organizations, and we're going to do our best to bring that money to our local community.
It's super exciting, and I think that last point you made is so important to highlight, and that is that whatever happens with Grant, that it's bringing this coalition together. This is one opportunity that this coalition is pursuing. There's going to be so many going forward. I wonder if, just so we can get a sense of, with this grant, or if it's something else, are there a few, for instances, that would be created as a result of funding from this grant, or others like it down the road, just so we can sort of imagine what this might look like?
And the core is definitely this tech talent coalition that we're also learning from other cities, what other tech hubs are doing. And we see that this is the core is being together, defining the gaps that we have and finding solutions to those gaps. And that's really what we are in discussion to create this tech talent coalition and really bring everyone to the table to define the needs and the gaps, and then working together on fixing those, but doing it quickly. And we have been iterating quickly. I'm thinking on 5 years ago when you were leading with Knight Foundation, creating the foundation that we have today on the tech ecosystem, and look at where we are today. So I'm just thinking of how much we can do over the next 5 years if we were able to accomplish where we are today. So I'm very excited with what's coming, what's happening, and how we're going to drive, again, not just for a grant opportunity, but for the community with things that are going to stay, like the Ready report, and helping us being extremely diverse and being innovative in the way that we're inclusive. So I'm excited where we're going, and this is just the beginning.
It's super exciting, Antonio. Rick, let's turn to you. So, there are different arrows in the quiver, so to speak, in terms of talent development. It's around, obviously, our universities, certificate programs, workforce programs, apprenticeships. Would love for you to talk about how you see apprenticeships being sort of a piece of the puzzle and what that might look like here in Miami.
Well, one, I want to thank Dr. Antonio for the work that he's doing, and he made a very interesting point, and it is actually the key point. First of all, Antonio, we're going to get the money. If you're doing a yeoman's job, we're going to get the money. But the key point that he made there is that we're working together regardless if we get the money, and that's key. And so I will share with you all in terms of apprenticeship models. That's really the factor of one. It's a win-win, not only for the employer, but it's a win-win for the job seeker. And so I'll share with you, we, in partnership with Miami-Dade College, I'm excited that the work that we're doing. Madeline has a fantastic team over there. Dr. Alexis Rowe leads her apprenticeship component, and my staff and her work hand in hand. But the key here is that we're able to offer employers somewhat, I would say, an incentive of launching an apprenticeship program. Matt, how I view apprenticeship programs is not just a component, a training piece. It really is a recruitment and retention program that employers actually can design and develop for their own respective companies. I'm excited that the chamber has, chimed in and looked at workforce being a key component and having the business community behind it. So what we envision that apprenticeship programs will enable that employee not only to earn while they're learning, but they also walk away with a certification they can take and becomes portable. We're looking at a time that, there's nothing wrong with just strictly classroom training. I don't want to disregard that piece, but keep in mind, we have parts of our community that have been left out of the economy. And here's a way for us to engage a Liberty City, engage a Sweetwater, to engage a Ranch, to engage the Perrine, in North Miami, where folks have been left out of the economy, and provide them an opportunity to earn that skill while they're working, earn a living, but more importantly, be able to acquire a certification they can take with you. I saw that we have someone from Being Automotive. We launched a program, and again, my hats are off to Miami-Dade College. They've been very innovative in terms of how they're addressing all types of occupations and skills needed for various industries. But we partner with Being Automotive, the Beacon Council. And again, I want to step back and I digress just a little bit, because if it wasn't for the chamber, if it wasn't for the Beacon Council, business organizations engaged in addressing talent for our community would be far behind. And so it's leaders like you, Matt, that had the foresight to look at the IT years ago. And Dr. Antonio mentioned, years ago, you all launched a number of programs. If it wasn't for organizations concentrating on this, we'd be far behind. So the apprenticeship program really provides a way of a company being able to lower the costs. So we're saving now. I'm making the investment in terms of the salaries for those individuals while they're earning on the job. The college actually does the training. The Beacon Council with this Community Ventures Initiative does all the wraparound service to ensure that individual is able to get fully back to work in a timely manner. And so it is a win-win. And then you have the employer, Being Automotive. Lori Bean, she is fantastic. And so she saw an opportunity. But it is about designing programs that, one, meet the needs of the employer, but allows that apprentice to earn a skill and that certification. And that's the beauty behind apprenticeship programs. There's nothing like that we've had before, but that's the beauty, because they're portable certifications.
And for our audience, just have an idea of the different sectors. You mentioned automotive, so becoming a service technician. And I know there've been programs at Tesla creating, as well. What are some of the different areas that there's been a lot of activity around apprenticeship development in Miami, the industries?
Again, we're partnering with Miami-Dade College. I don't want to take anything away from all our other education partners, okay? Because we do quite a bit with FIU, with Miami-Dade County Public Schools. I don't want to, but with Miami-Dade College, we're looking at the healthcare, looking at respiratory therapists, our apprenticeship program there. With Miami-Dade County Public Schools, we've launched a pre-apprenticeship program in construction. Keep in mind, we're working, I know David Gilbert, my staff, are in communications with Miami-Dade County Public Schools to take the apprenticeship programs that we have already gotten approved and make them pre-apprenticeship programs in the high school, building that pathway for our future workforce. I will share with you that we've launched an apprenticeship program. Well, we're trying to get it approved by the Department of Education. We're launching an apprenticeship program in early learning. So helping our early learning practitioners be able to, one, recruit and return the existing workforce in early learning. And so we're going to be as creative as we can, particularly with those industries who want to participate, who want again, they need a pipeline of workers. And so here's a way of being able to do it. And so healthcare is going to be a great one. IT, and again, Dr. Antonio, I mean, I just say this, that I don't have enough money to cover what he needs. So he's learned from Madeline to just ask. And so I have to leave my wallet when I get on the phone with him. But we're looking at various occupations and industries because there is a need to do some things a little differently that build, again, the training module. So when they finish, they can continue to go to school at Miami-Dade College, at the technical school to continue their education. Again, it's about lifelong learning.
Awesome. Awesome. Gustavo, so, there's, of course, all the work around creating ways in which people can build the skills for the jobs of today and the jobs of the future. There's also the work of creating the entrepreneurs of the future. I mean, after all, it's, as we think about the last 20 years, virtually all net new job growth came from businesses 5 years and younger, right? So virtually all net new job growth came from new businesses. And so as a community, of course, and it's being a place where there's lots of company creation is really important in so many ways. As the pace of technology gets faster and faster, it's only become more and more important. Talk about, you are a graduate of and leader of Babson College, the leading entrepreneurship school in the country. How are you thinking about entrepreneurship sort of in the lens of of workforce development and the talent we need for our economic future?
Yeah, thank you, Matt. And thank you all for having me here today. And Matt, thank you maybe for having Babson in Miami, right? As people were talking about, you were the main engine that got us here in the first place with the Wing Lab program like 6 years ago. And now we have a campus in Brickell, right?
Awesome.
So thank you for that. And I think to your point, thinking about entrepreneurship at Babson, we are now talking a lot about entrepreneurial leadership, right? Which is more than just thinking of startups, because sometimes not every single business is going to be venture capital backable, right? So not every single business will become a unicorn, right? To your point, there are tons and hundreds of thousands of small businesses generating the net employment down here in Miami, Miami-Dade County. So we are at Babson also very focused on, we say we teach entrepreneurship of all kinds, and we create entrepreneurs of all kinds. So we have several examples of programs that we do. One of them is with the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program, right? That is run here in Miami with the Miami-Dade College team. More than 600 entrepreneurs have been through that program here in Miami. So I think we're very focused on helping micro and small businesses. So when you ask the question about what you think about Miami in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I think we want to make sure that these small businesses can survive shocks like the ones we just witnessed, right, with COVID. So we don't know what's going to come next, right? We never know what the next crisis is and where it is. So we want to make sure that we give them enough tools to be prepared for that. And of course, we also work with the entrepreneurs that are founding startups. I mean, one of our most notable recent entrepreneurs, I think both Babson and Miami-Dade College educated them together, so the twin brothers at Lula. So it's an insurance technology company, and they're doing amazingly well. They're VC backed, right? They have raised $20 million. So I think we need to think about entrepreneurs in all sorts of areas, and also one thing that Babson is really focused on, as you know, and I'll stop here, is the gender inequality, right? So we know that only 3% or so of the VC funding and all investors' money go into female-founded businesses. So that's why we created, like almost 10 years ago, the Wing Lab program. It's now called the Wing Growth Lab program, and it's online, so it's available for people all over the country. So would definitely encourage female founders that are listening to us today to apply to that program. And yeah, that's
it's such an important point that you highlight too, is that while of course, and for good reason, there's been such, I mean, the NIGHT program we talked about earlier, it was really focused on building the ecosystem to support high growth, scalable entrepreneurship, which has really been a liability. The feeling before was that, if you're an entrepreneur with a big idea, that you really need to, you'd have to go elsewhere to get the talent and funding that you need. And so we really lean into that, over the last, now it's almost been 10 years that really lean into that, focusing on solving for that. And this past year, over $4 billion in venture capital coming into South Florida companies. So just, really making strides. But it's really important to highlight, the point that you make that, we need to think about entrepreneurship broadly. And what has been a longstanding source of strength for South Florida are, the micro businesses, the small businesses, the medium-sized businesses across our region. In fact, I think it was a study that came out just a month or two ago, right? That said that actually Miami had more micro businesses per 100 people than any region in the country. And so that's just such an important strength, and being really mindful of that and championing that is so important. Would love for you also though to talk about entrepreneurship leadership village, which you've done and Babson has done in Boston and looking at doing here in Miami.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. So so we refer to it internally as the ELV. So think of like in Boston, it's a physical space that people can gather, but it's also a virtual space where we say it's from inspiring entrepreneurs to aspiring entrepreneurs, right? So people like investors and people who are already entrepreneurs and people who would like to start a venture one day, they can gather. So we'd encourage people to Google and go into the Babson ELV webpage and find out more. We have platforms that people can network and connect there. And of course, there are workshops and sessions to help people launch their businesses. And here in Miami, we want to replicate that with different partners, right? So yesterday, one of our partners in Boston, it's an angel network called Boston Harbor Angels. They just announced they're coming to Miami, right? So this is something we've been witnessing, right? So they are part of the Babson ELV now. When they're in Miami having their angel network meetings, right, and looking at Miami and local deals flow, they'll be doing it at the Babson Brickell office, right, and campus down here. So we're trying to help people from Boston, from our original ecosystem to come to Miami and to make the Miami ecosystem even better. And of course, like people have mentioned Emerge, I think I'm one of the biggest fans of Emerge. I think they represent so much for the Miami entrepreneurial ecosystem. They are truly the place for people to gather and to keep advancing our ecosystem. So Melissa and Felicia, what they're doing there is incredible. So for those interested in being more connected in the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Miami, they should be at Emerge or following Emerge at all times. So we try to do a lot with them as well. So ELV is kind of, it's a village, right? We want to be, but it's not we don't have the ambition of being the one that came from Boston and saying, okay, you come here to Babson ELV and you're going to find everything you need here. No, we want, like, we are very close to Antonio and other people at Miami-Dade College. We really admire what they're doing for the community. So we're always in conversations with them to do things together, right? So how can it takes a village, right? Literally. So what can we do to be part of this community? So yeah, ELV is a place for people to gather and learn more about how to run a business.
Well, we look forward to watching it grow here in Miami, become a distinctly Miami ELV.
Hey, Matt.
Please,
Gustavo.
yeah, please.
I want to make sure that we connect, Gustavo. I want to make sure we connect because I think, again, we'd love to see how CareerSource can be involved in your vision. I see Antonio shaking his head as well, so we'll connect before we get off this
That's
webinar.
good.
Well, this is the consortium, the collaboration you were talking about, Antonio.
I was gonna say, don't worry too much about our wallet, but have it close to you just in case. I learned a few tricks with Antonio.
Yeah. So Antonio, as we think about now and going forward, I mean, one of the challenges, and you alluded to this, is connection. And by that, I mean, for some time thinking about it, if you think about any successful ecosystem, of course, talent and funding being so critical, being fundamental. And, around funding, one of the things found is that it was just so inefficient, right? That if you're an entrepreneur, that trying to find funders, investors, financiers, whoever that might be, that it was very hard, right? And there weren't those sort of connections. Getting better in solving that in the high growth area, I think in terms of connecting with angels and VC investors, we're seeing a lot of improvement. But one of the things that's still talked about a lot is connecting employers to talent and talent to employers. And I think we've all experienced we have had it where it's, in the morning you're talking to this is a story actually probably better suited for a year or two ago, but an employer is saying, gosh, it's such a struggle to find talent here. You'd be having that conversation in the morning, and in the afternoon having the conversation who's super talented and saying, God, it's so hard to find, that job that's right fit for me. You say, wait a second, just get you guys together. How are you thinking about what are the ways that we can do that at scale and create a much more efficient, fluid, connected process of connecting talent to jobs and vice versa?
So that's definitely the key of the problems that we're facing. And exactly what you're saying, companies saying there is not enough talent, and we know that we're producing talent, and it's a diverse talent, which, by the way, companies are looking for diversity as well. So we see the gap. And so to your point, like, how can we fix that? And we were having this conversation with all the academic institutions and local government recently, and that's how we came out with the Venture Miami Hiring Fair. And it was a true collaboration between the academic institutions locally, with Venture Miami, the team led by Mayor Suarez, and the connection with companies coming with Miami-Dade County, also on the conversation on how can we close that. And that's how the hiring fair came out as not as a job fair. It's a real hiring fair. It's get a job right there, because companies are desperately for talent. And guess what? We have thousands of people, not just on our academic institutions, but also working professionals that want to be upskill or reskill and get an opportunity in this rising tech ecosystem. So just with that first attempt, in 2 weeks, we were able to get over 40 companies with over 2,000 positions, and 500 people attended Miami-Dade College in the middle of a pandemic, because it was a connection. It was that connection, talent with employers. Now, the reality, even when, yes, we're going to continue doing these hiring fairs. The next one is coming April 14, actually, as part of the whole Miami Tech Month. And it's going to be also sponsored by eMERGE to make it 10 times bigger. So the Venture Miami hiring fairs are going to continue happening, but we're thinking that just putting them together at one point to talk, there is still a gap. There is a gap on understanding before putting them in front of you, that the companies really translate what they need in a way that is meaningful, not just coming with positions that require 10 years of experience, all of them. And then, of course, you have a gap in talent if you're not able to understand that you need to create pathways to become a person with 10 years of experience. So it needs to have a balance on how to work with companies when they look for talent. And as you said, most of Miami, 80 to 85% of the businesses are either small or medium. So how can we work with those small and medium companies to help them with CareerSource, South Florida resources, with the Talent Development Network opportunity that combines all the academic institutions together to create internships? How can we help these companies create internships? And how can we bring the money from federal funding, state funding, COVID funding, to make sure that we translate that into internships that are not necessarily funded by these small or medium companies? So,
and Matt, let me chime in. I think Antonio's on point, because again, we're looking at the adult learner, but we also have an opportunity to look at our, the pathway with our high school system, but here's the challenge that I think all employers, and I hope you all hear me. The beauty about being the chair is being able to share other likes, ideas. We have human capital. And so we're working with Mayor Kava on her crime prevention component, working with youth. We should be engaging the Department of Juvenile Justice, because again, we have young adults who may have made a mistake. But here's an opportunity to put them into a career pathway that will help them be able, one, earn a certification, but earn a living, reduces crime. Let's look at our foster care system. Sometimes we forget and overlook components of our community that really, truly also are part of that human capital, because, we're, in essence, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and yet we have access to individuals that make up our community that we oftentimes overlook. And I think, and I will tell you, Miami-Dade College through NBC Works has done a fantastic job of looking at all aspects. FIU with their IRAPs, they launched this program to look at various parts of our community to engage them, to get them trained, to get them to get them employed. And so we have pockets of populations that we truly also need to concentrate on. Again, Miami-Dade College is doing it, FIU, Miami-Dade County Public Schools, and we have other training vendors doing so. So let's not forget, and I'm mentioning this because, again, most employers want individuals that need to go to work. And so we have pockets of talent that are oftentimes overlooked. That young man, a young lady who's returning from incarceration, that what we call the returning citizen, retrain, reskill, retool. We have the young mom who's on welfare. Again, her economic status has nothing to do with her aptitude to perform on the job. So again, we miss opportunities where we can really enhance individuals and rebuild our community to make sure that it's for everyone in Miami-Dade County. So I wanted to share that.
And, just to follow up, and, you can have this for the group, but let's talk about pain points in areas that are related to talent development, and thinking about what are those things we need to solve for going forward as we think about our future. By that, I mean broadband access, right? I mean, right now it's 77% of our community, 77% of households have access to the internet. With the infrastructure bill, we really have the opportunity over the next 5 to 7 years to get that to the high 90s and very close to 100 and ending that, or transportation, housing. Talk to us about, in each of your experiences, what are those things that we really need to solve for over the next 5 years to make, if we do all the things that we're talking about right here, there's still sort of barriers in daily life that can really interrupt. Talk about what those things are and what we must solve for. Rick, do you want to jump in first?
But I think there's wonderful opportunities that we have before us. I mean, AT&T, I'm here with Alice Dominguez right here in Tallahassee, and some of the efforts that AT&T is doing, Comcast, Marta over there at Comcast. These companies have created programs that focus on those communities that what we call the IT desert. I think it's an opportunity for us to work with Miami-Dade County and companies like AT&T and Comcast to be able to offer, again, access, because it is about digital access. And we want to make sure that all our children, all our families have access so that we can compete, so we can grow talent. And that's really going to be, the component. I mean, we've launched a number of programs. Again, our tech programs we've launched with YWCA, increasing the number of women in tech and ensuring that the young ladies had digital access. Our Big Brothers, Big Sisters with Gail Nelson over there that's doing a fantastic job of launching these programs with Dr. Willie's going to kill me, but over there at the Opelika CDC. Okay, here's a way. Willie, thank you. Don't everybody, if y'all know Willie Tilly, I didn't mean to forget his name, but charge it to my old age and not my heart. But Willie Logan has found a way of being able to launch programs in deserts that folks don't have access. But it takes more than that. The college has some programs. It takes all of us to really look at where there are gaps and identify how we can leverage resources to ensure that all citizens have access to the internet, to internet services. So that's where I leave. But I mean, and Mike Finney, forgive me because the work that you did, Matt, Mike, and you guys over at the Beacon Council are trying to address that as well. And I don't mean to leave you all out, but you all are doing some fantastic work as well. It takes all of us to work together to make this happen.
Antonio, Gustavo, other things? I mean, what's been brought up as we think about the workforce of the future, non-compete agreements, something we have here in Florida, thinking about getting rid of them and other places. What are some of the barriers that you're seeing from the students and the employees that you're working with?
So I wanted to jump, Matt, in something that President Pumariega mentioned, that is a mantra at Miami-Dade College, that talent is universal, but opportunity is not. So, and that's what we do at the college. We provide the opportunity through education to get access to a better life through a better job. Now, you mentioned a few things that are extremely important. Just offering education, it doesn't work if they don't have, if they cannot get to the college, or they don't have access to internet to access online classes, or if they have food insecurity. So that's why the wraparound services is extremely important to help the community that need it the most, the ones that we really want to change and provide economic mobility. It's not just to provide education, it's to provide that access to internet, it's to provide a food pantry that we have at Miami-Dade College to provide free food to those that really have food insecurity at home. And it's working with the areas that are really affected, that you don't see the growth happening and you don't see the access to these high paying opportunities. And it's frustrating when you know that you have the scholarship and the wraparound services to help them. And the barrier is actually mental, that for them to think this is not for me. So the wraparound services start early on to say, this is for you. This tech ecosystem that we're growing is actually for you. And we have a full scholarship for you to come, for example, in our Rising Black Scholars that we just started at Miami-Dade College, that you can get into this pathway for free. But first is, how can I convince you that this is for you, that you can really make it and change your life through these opportunities? So it's really a whole, spectrum of activities and wraparound services. As I mentioned, I know the Miami Community Venture from Miami-Dade Beacon Council, CareerSource of Florida, with many opportunities that Mr. Beasley have shared already. So there are many opportunities, and our job is to make sure that we can bring these to the ones that need it the most, and for them to understand that this is for them.
Gustavo, did you wish to weigh in? No. How should we think about sort of the skills of the future, the skills for the jobs of the future, right? I mean, on the one hand, there's the whole idea of, perhaps the greatest superpower is resiliency, right? And being able to be a lifelong learner and have those opportunities to do that and ways to leverage that. But also, should we be thinking about, in terms of creating the workforce of the future, AI, crypto, leaning into what we think, will be those technologies that will be driving our future economy. How should we think about it? And as in each of your respective areas that you're working, how are you thinking about this in terms of talent development? Gustavo, why don't we turn to you first?
Yep, thank you. Well, I think, again, when it comes to the way we teach learners, right? Like being undergraduate students, graduate students, executive education, small business owners. It's all about the mindset, right? It's all about being innovative. It's all about working with what you have, right? So of course, we're paying a lot of attention to data analytics and AI. We're developing classes and courses on coding in partnership with other coding schools. In fact, some very, very often we're working with engineering schools. But yeah, I think for Miami, from a perspective of identifying an opportunity, right? So that's, I think, what we try to teach as in the beginning of every single course, right? Is that just an idea, a good idea, or is that a viable opportunity for you to exploit? So I think that's what Miami is doing now, right? We're evaluating different opportunities and we're pursuing them and testing them, right? So I hope crypto, blockchain keep growing, right? I think it's there already, right? It's not, I don't think people should be doubting it anymore. And I hope we become capital of capital as we're all pushing for it to happen. So again, I just want, as many people have said already, I just want us not to be thinking of being the next Silicon Valley, right? We're not Silicon Valley, and we don't have to be Silicon Valley, right? We're going to be something else. We are something else. So we have some very strong industries and segments of the economy already established here, right? You can think of the cruise lines, right? Or hospitality in general. They're going through a hard time now, but they are the core of our economy, as are other industries. So I think we have to always be paying attention of what we can do better and to keep advancing these segments of the economy. And yeah, technology, it can be something that is we're developing new technology, or it's just tech enabled, right, for something that we're already good at, right? So I think that's what how we think about businesses in general at Babson, and to make sure you're always pursuing a viable opportunity. So be it like tech enabled or something very disruptive, like again, I'll mention them because Antonio is here, the Lula guys are doing.
Antonio, Rick, because we think about emerging technologies that, technology generally, is a part of really every part of our life, and that's only going to increase. And we think about those emerging technologies that will likely be, such a part of, I was listening this morning about, following the Microsoft acquisition yesterday, about how they're thinking about the metaverse. How do you think about this in terms of building our workforce for the future and preparing people for those jobs? And I'll leave it to Rick.
With the college, I would say this, that I think Miami-Dade College has set the example of how they're going to address creative or emerging industries, emerging occupations. First off, they launched a wonderful center, the Innovative Center, which Dr. Antonio has been leading. Okay. The center was there to address emerging industries, emerging occupations. I think we all have to look forward to, there's, before there were these walls or these blurred lines. And so really they're erased. And really it's for the Knight Foundation, CareerSource, and other funders to work with the college, to work with Miami-Dade County Public Schools, work with FIU, Babson, Miami, to look at how we address these emerging industries and not be afraid of the types of occupations. Again, they're making, the programs can be designed in a way that is a combination of classroom and work with this type of certification. I think the challenge for us becomes when you have state organizations like the Florida Department of Education and others that kind of limit in terms of our ability to be creative to address the needs of employers. And so we're going to have to work with our lawmakers in terms of the flexibility and being able to look at what is required as a degree, what is required as a certification. And that's why I'm here in Tallahassee right now, advocating, can't say lobbying, advocating on behalf of our chamber and the work that we do, but more importantly on our educational system and how we can be as flexible. Because again, Dr. Antonio can create some wonderful programs, but we have to jump through hoops in terms of the certification, the accreditation. And so I think that's going to be an opportunity where the chamber, we're able to then advocate on behalf of what the college and all our education partners are doing.
Antonio, did you want to weigh in on this?
Definitely. This is my day today, so I'm extremely passionate. I'm extremely passionate about this topic, and so I believe that the better we are as an academic institution in providing emerging technology skills to our students, and it doesn't matter if it's a high school student coming into enrollment, to a college student, to someone coming back to get a new certification or skill, the better that we are providing them with more skills in emerging technologies, the better position they will be to get a job. So we are always not necessarily going with the latest technology, but the technology that are really creating jobs. And that's what we did, for example, with Tesla in electric vehicles, to bring the main producer of electric vehicles to hire in Miami through a program at Miami-Dade College. And that's what we did with Microsoft. And we have been working with Microsoft closely with the Microsoft Accelerate Miami initiative in partnership with the county, and making sure that we provide the latest curriculum from Microsoft through our programs, either for professional development or for a career and a degree. Working with Amazon Web Services in cloud computing, and getting Amazon Web Services without an office in Miami to hire Miami-Dade College students directly from a cloud computing program. So that's what we have been doing. But what are we going to be doing now in the future is about artificial intelligence. That's an area that you don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be in computer science to really understand artificial intelligence, to demystify AI. And that's what we want to bring across the whole curriculum for any student that comes to Miami-Dade College. And definitely for those that want to go deeper, to create the first applied AI technician degree in the nation, to make sure that we can serve the needs, that you don't need a master or PhD in artificial intelligence to start producing understanding on AI and the future. And of course, you also mentioned, Matt, the cryptocurrency and blockchain. That's something that is growing, and Miami is becoming a capital of that in the world. So making sure that we are nimble and we are flexible to say, hey, we have to move in this direction because the jobs are being created in that direction, and we can do it in a quick way to really supply the demand. Sometimes it's a full degree, other times it's just a certification or a specific skill that you need to be productive in one particular field. And of course, as you mentioned, the metaverse, looking at the future of, you know, how everything is going to be transformed to a digital, 100% digital environment. They will have positive things and negative things, but either way, we're going to bring the positive on the education side, on the training perspective, and how can we make it more flexible for anyone to attend classes or to join and learn either from home or from any environment. So we're looking into how can we bring the positive and give skills that lead to jobs. And we're excited that Miami-Dade College is at the forefront of learning what's happening with the latest innovation centers, with the BIT Center, Business Innovation and Technology Center, with the Cloud Computing Center, with the Common Artificial Intelligence Center, to really bring this to our community. Everyone, anyone that wants to learn will have the option to do it through Miami-Dade College.
Super exciting. And, you know, and listening to all of you, I wonder too, if, you know, as we think about the net zero world, that this is, you know, think by 2050, moving to one that is carbon neutral, cars that are emission free, buildings that have very limited carbon footprint, how we produce our food in ways. I wonder, I mean, all of those things, you know, the job opportunities could be enormous. And as we lean into the different ways that our economy will evolve. I'm curious, just a quick question that I'd love, and I'm going to turn, we've got a bunch of questions from Vanessa and Arathi and Frederick. Wanted just to get your thoughts on something that is present day, but maybe informs our future too. And that is that there's been lots of talk about the Great Resignation. That is that during COVID, that has sort of been this moment of giant reevaluation. People, I think so many of us thinking about our lives, what's most important, where do we want to live? That's prompted many people to say, you know what, I'm going to live in Miami and move to Miami. You know, what do I want to do for work? What do I want to spend time with? What's your take on this moment we're in? And does this inform, you know, our thinking and approach, you know, as we move forward in building the, you know, the economy and workforce that we want and need going forward? I leave that open. That's a question that we never even talked about before, so just putting you all on the spot. So who would like to weigh in on that?
So Matt, let me share with you. I mean, and for the audience who's listening to us, I mean, Matt knows the Beacon Council, the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce, United Way, the Early Learning Coalition, CareerSource South Florida, the Mayor's Office, the Community Action Agency. I mentioned these organizations because, you know, we were approached by the Federal Reserve of looking at this CLIFS benefit. And I bring this up because you had a number of individuals, those low-income workers who have decided, you know what, I'm not going to take that extra dollar, so I'm going to leave the workplace. And one of the items I'm up here right now in Tallahassee is advocating for some legislation that will actually set some standards in terms of the poverty level so that families can continue to receive childcare, to receive the benefits they have without in fear of losing their benefits because, you know, they get that extra dollar. And so those are some of the folks that have left the workplace. Again, through the work of Mike Finney and the great staff of the Beacon Council, we're leading that push. Actually, this morning I had a meeting with Dan McGrew, who's leading that effort on the state level. So it's not something that just Miami-Dade County is looking at. We're looking at it from a state perspective, CareerSource Florida. But I also would share with you that we, you know, organizations have to be a little bit more nimble in how we address the workplace, how we are able to have individuals work from home virtually. I know that becomes a challenge, but it's also a way for us as business owners, leaders to kind of help address. And I think that work, you know, is really embodied in the work that the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce is doing, the Beacon Council, all our chambers, Coral Gables, Miami-Dade, there's a number of us that are looking at how we address that for our future workforce. So we have some challenges, but we have a lot of opportunities to make a difference in our respective communities. And so, again, the CLIFS benefit, I would tell you, Matt, and you know this, is a major challenge for us. How do we continue to encourage low-income workers that extra dollar, please, let's design policies that enable them to continue to work without leaving the workforce in fear of losing their benefits. And so if we can create the ramp versus them jumping off the cliff, create the ramp so they can walk down it, I think we're going to be in a great place. And the state of Florida, with the leadership of CareerSource Florida, our state workforce board, I think we're going in the right direction to kind of address that issue.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I think you could look at this trend that we're seeing nationally. One way to look at it is a real source of optimism, that people feel like there's something better out there that I want, and I'm going to go for it and feel like I'm enabled.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's also, Matt, but it's also an opportunity for us to do, reskill retooling of individual. I think that, because Antonio mentioned before, you had a lot of folks who may have left, but going to one of our educational partners and allows us to reskill, retool those individuals who have decided to leave the workplace looking for something better. So this is where you do go to a Miami-Dade college. This is where you go to an FIU, where you go to Miami-Dade County Public Schools to get a skills upgrade that will help, look at where you want to go. So that's another component. Yeah.
And I think we all imagine, and I think this is so relevant to our future in 5 years, 10 years from now, because I think we all think is that, and President Pumariega was talking about it, that our future is one where, each one of us are going to have multiple professional chapters and going to have to gain skills, many different times through our professional lives, gain new skills. All right, let's jump to some questions. Let's go with Vanessa first. She said that first, she said, super excited about, preparing our community for 2040. She said, with that said, 1 in 59 children are being born with autism in the United States. What is being done to ensure that these individuals be ready, able and ready to enter the workforce if and when possible? How are we thinking, about those in our workforce, many who have, specific challenges, but also actually present, also really amazing opportunities. I mean, there's been a lot of discussion around neurodiversity, about, that actually in certain fields actually presents a real advantage. How do you all think about that? And I'll leave that to the group of who would like to take a stab at it.
I'm throwing Antonio's name out there. No, I'm throwing Antonio out there. Go ahead, Antonio.
Okay. Antonio, please.
So definitely Miami-Dade College is an open access institution for anyone that wants to come in and with disabilities. Like, we are 100% ADA compliant and making sure that we can provide the services to every student equally. So that's something that I can tell you. The college is positioned to really help anyone and create the conditions to really make it easier for anyone with any disability to really be part of a workforce pathway.
And Matt, I will also share with you that we've been engaging organizations that service individuals with disabilities, whether it's visually, physically impairment. But our goal there is seeing how we can get everyone. As you mentioned, here's an opportunity. Employers need workers, and we don't want to leave anyone out of that workplace. And you have individuals. So here's an example: the Key Club of South Florida. Debbie and those guys are doing a fantastic job over there, and they're dealing with individuals who have mental disabilities, and we're trying to get them back in the workplace. And so we've opened up our shop and allowed them to come work in some of our career centers so they can get reacclimated. Again, working with other organizations enables those individuals to feel a part of mainstream. So I think, we as a funder will continue to fund programs, but we need other partners to come to the table. And so Vanessa, I don't know you, but if you can reach out and let us know of organizations that deal with individuals with autism, let us know. And let's see how we can engage them, because it takes an awareness of organizations that are available for us to work with. I would tell you with the Early Learning Coalition that we are looking at that a couple of our board members are ensuring that our early learning centers have access for all students and making them available. And so again, Vanessa, if you can put in the chat, let us know what organizations that we can reach out to. You have my commitment from my organization to see how we can assist them of getting access to employment opportunities and training opportunities.
All right, I've got a question here from Marathi. How do we help close the gap in finding talent for mid and senior level employees? Many of these need and rely on several, oh, excuse me. It just popped up. Pardon me, I lost my, how do we help close the gap in finding talent for mid and senior level employees in tech now, and how do we tap into the people that are already here in these positions working in large enterprise organizations? And I think where this is going is something that that Arathi is highlighting, is just that we've had lots of efforts here in Miami that have been terrific around boot camps, WinCode, now BrainStation, IronHack, et cetera, General Assembly, creating skills for people at the entry level. But how do we, but for so many companies, they're of course looking for those mid and senior level employees, and that presents a challenge. How better to address that? Antonio, I'll go straight to you.
So I know we're running out of time now, but quickly, I would say that one, the part of the big resignation, actually, this is a market for mid and senior positions. So if anyone with those skills will have an opportunity to really look into the market and really decide what you want to do, because there is a market, there is a huge market for mid and senior positions. So even when you say like, not being part of the ecosystem, it's just as easy as getting to, follow Refresh Miami, look at the, job opportunities that are being listed there or anywhere else. Like follow Rob Weil on the Miami Herald, and you will see what's happening. It's easy just to follow on the news what's happening, and looking for jobs, you will see quickly how many opportunities are there. Now, one thing that is important quickly, Matt, is like Miami has been known as a brain drain, that many of our talent usually leave when they don't find an opportunity. So this is an opportunity for Miami to start actually bringing the brain drain. Like, how can we gain talent that usually from Miami that left, start considering coming back, because there are many opportunities for you with the experience that you got outside. So it's an opportunity for Miamians that are not in Miami anymore. Consider coming back, because we're ready for you.
Awesome. And I agree. I think we're in the middle of a brain game. We'll close out with a question from Frederick. Several companies attempt to work on, and companies and organizations attempt to work on digital divide concerns. And while many of these need and rely on federal dollars to supplement local efforts, what can we do at the grassroots level in our homes to level the playing field regarding access to careers in AI, blockchain, robotics, Bitcoin? This really brings it home, I think, this question, and that is that, what can each of us, of course, there is, in all this work, there needs to be really systems change, needs to be done at scale across the community, but also efforts like this also begin with each of us deciding, okay, what are we going to do in my life right now in my specific orbit, and what am I going to do today? So for that person, and what would your advice be about what each of us can do on our own individual capacities with our families, with our friends, in terms of the work around the digital divide and connecting people to job opportunities? Gustavo, you want to take a crack? I know it's hard.
That's a hard one. I think Antonio wanted to tackle that one.
I'll be happy to, Gustavo.
Go for it, Antonio.
And how to start early on, and when you have kids, you think about how can I prepare them for the future, and it's really to expose them to first on gender diversity. It's not about boys learning math and STEM and girls going more for the arts. It's like, how can you make it the same opportunities for either gender, doesn't matter, and really making sure that everyone is exposed the same way. And I would think that, coding is something that is becoming like the common ground. So learning coding early on for kids, there are so many ways to learn coding, like playing games nowadays. Like, I think that that's really the way to prepare the next generation, and not to become computer scientists at all. It's just to understand the basic skills in technology that are the core of any job of the future. So I will go with that one, and at least coding for anyone, especially encouraging girls to go for coding as well.
And Matt, I have to agree with Antonio. We have to be intentional of providing access in terms of the education components for those who are economically advantaged and those who are disadvantaged. I mean, so, increasing the number of women in technology, we have to be intentional of how we provide access. And so I think, that's something that we as a chamber, and I'm going to ask Oscar as the vice chair of the IT committee for me, let's look at how we can change some policy directions of being able to have coding or some type of IT language as a requirement for graduation to enhance the opportunities for all youth, okay, regardless of where you live in Miami-Dade County. But we need to be intentional. So those kids in DJJ, those kids that are on foster care, we got to ensure that we are intentional of inclusion of all, IT training programs or just programs, period. Because if we lift up, they say rising tides lift the entire boat. That's our goal, is to ensure that all children and all adults have access. So keep this in mind. 65% of the jobs that are projected for growth in Miami-Dade County will require some post-secondary education beyond high school. That's our challenge. And so we just can't do it for those kids that we picture to go off to college. And keep in mind, not every child is going to college. But I think if we're designing programs that enable all children, all adults to have access, then I think we're able to ensure that Miami-Dade County system, our community, leads the nation in terms of affordability, mobility, and allows us to grow economically we're able to recruit and retain those companies within our community.
And with that, a heartfelt thank you to each of you, our awesome panelists. This was a terrific discussion, and more to come as our work continues. And with that, thank you, and I'll turn it over to David. David, please take it away.
Hey, thank you very much, Matt. That was fantastic. Thanks to the speakers and everyone who participated on this. We started with the question, is Miami ready? Do we have the talent, and do we have what it takes for the future? And I think the answer to those three is yes, yes, and yes. We most certainly have the talent. Now, there are over 100 people on this call today, and it's incumbent upon all of us to keep the conversation going and make that opportunity available for all the talent that we currently have. So again, thank you to Matt. Thank you to the speakers. Thank you to our sponsors, Baptist Health South Florida, Florida International University, CareerSource South Florida, of course, Miami-Dade College, and Wells Fargo. We really appreciate everything that you've all done. Don't forget, next week, we have another Smart Cities event that you can register for. And then I'd also like to say, please, please, please go to YouTube or your choice of social media to look at Opportunity Miami. Matthew Haggman's done a great job over there. Like they say, subscribe, set the notification, write a comment, support Matt and Opportunity Miami, because by doing so, you're really supporting the infrastructure that we have in Miami. You're supporting the talent and you're supporting the future of our community. Join the Chamber of Commerce. Have a terrific day. Keep your attitudes positive and your COVID negative. Thanks a lot.